if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sunny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it, and it's nothing.
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there.
I mean, you're married, Tom. You're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. Let's just not forget who she is. She's been for years lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times does she have to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for
the morning the scandal broke seemed like any other, coffee in hand, scrolling through the usual news. But then something stood out. The name Sunny Hostin flashed across the screen. And no, it wasn't for her fiery takes on The View. This time, it was about her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin. And trust me, the headlines were anything but flattering. Dr. Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon, and his practice, Hostin Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, found themselves at the epicenter of a storm. The accusations? Insurance fraud, kickbacks, and, wait for it, being tied to a sprawling RICO lawsuit involving a staggering 180 defendants. That's not just a case, folks. That's a blockbuster. But before we dive into the drama, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single plot twist in this Hollywood-sized scandal. So let's break this down, legal jargon and all.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
The RICO Act, short for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, was originally designed to bring down organized crime. Think mobsters, gangsters, and the real underworld stuff. But here's the plot twist. It's not the mafia in the hot seat this time. It's doctors, surgeons, and entire medical practices. This courtroom drama feels less like Goodfellas and more like Grey's Anatomy, with a side of fraud. The lawsuit claims that Dr. Hostin and others were allegedly running a scheme to bleed the healthcare system dry. We're talking kickbacks for unnecessary surgeries, bogus billing to insurance companies, and procedures that may never have happened in the first place. Picture this: patients going under the knife, insurers footing the bill, and money changing hands like it's a high-stakes poker game. Only the casino is a hospital.
I want a citizen that has a policy. I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got a $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation? How about removing some of the podcasts that disseminate this misinformation?
They have.
And that's
Here's where it gets juicy. The lawsuit specifically accuses Dr. Hostin of receiving financial incentives for recommending or performing arthroscopic surgeries. Those minimally invasive joint procedures that usually seem routine and legitimate. On the surface, everything looked above board. But according to the lawsuit, some of those surgeries may have been completely unnecessary. Were these patients truly in need of knee or shoulder operations? Or was someone chasing a payday? If these allegations hold up, this could go down as one of the most shocking betrayals in recent medical history, making your average soap opera scandal look tame by comparison. Imagine putting your trust in your doctor, only to discover you were just a pawn in a bigger financial scheme. That's the kind of betrayal that stings,
it's always the
literally.
People that always do the pointing, and it always comes back to them, all right? So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia case. Like the mafia one was number one. This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange for the kickback.
But here's the twist. On the other side of this case stands American Transit Insurance Company, ATIC, the plaintiff. ATIC claims they were duped out of millions, alleging they were billed for surgeries that either never happened or were completely unnecessary. It's like paying for a steak and getting tofu instead. But let's be honest, insurance companies aren't exactly saints. ATIC itself has faced accusations of underpaying doctors, denying legitimate claims, and exploiting every loophole imaginable to avoid cutting checks. So the real question is ATIC genuinely trying to expose a massive healthcare scam? Or is this a desperate move by a company on the brink of financial collapse, scrambling to shift the blame? Either way, the stakes are sky high, and nobody's walking away.
According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page Six, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer influenced and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers.
Dr. Hostin's lawyer, Daniel Thwaites, didn't hold back. He slammed the lawsuit as a baseless, desperate attempt by ATIC to recoup their financial losses, calling it a last-ditch effort from a company teetering on the edge of collapse. Thwaites flipped the script, shifting the spotlight onto ATIC and painting them as the real villains in this saga. It's a classic courtroom move. When you're under fire, turn the heat back on your accuser. And trust me, it's keeping the courtroom drama sizzling. But wait, there's more. Enter Joe Rogan, podcast king, cultural commentator, and never one to bite his tongue. Rogan tore into The View, calling out what he saw as blatant hypocrisy. He reminded his listeners that Sunny Hostin had built a reputation by dragging others through the mud, acting like she sat on some moral high ground, while possibly knowing all along about her husband's alleged shady dealings. And Rogan didn't stop there. He went full throttle, roasting the show as plain stupid, quipping that if you averaged out the IQ of The View hosts, you might still struggle to hit triple digits. Brutal, blunt, and very on.
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
yeah.
it is a rabies infested hen house.
Harsh? Maybe. But Rogan's fans were eating it up. Meanwhile, as Dr. Hostin battles to salvage his reputation in court, his wife Sunny has remained eerily silent. Normally, she's the first to confront controversy head-on on The View. But when it comes to her husband's scandal, crickets. Why the silence? Is she standing by him, trying to quietly distance herself? Or simply waiting for her lawyers to script her next move? Fans are buzzing. Some believe she's protecting her image. Others think she's staying quiet to avoid becoming the next target. Either way, her silence is deafening. And here's the kicker. This scandal isn't just about Dr. Hostin. He's only one of 180 defendants named in the sweeping lawsuit. We're talking doctors, private practices, even entire hospitals. If the allegations hold up, this could become one of the largest medical fraud cases in recent memory, a sprawling network of corruption, milking the healthcare system for millions. And the fallout? It's just beginning.
Her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit. Okay, now let's read this. Rob, is this a video?
Well, I have this. I'll show you this about.
Let me just read this and I'll come to you. So, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow. Hostin's attorney, Daniel twice denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread insurance.
It's like a heist movie, but instead of robbing banks, these criminals are allegedly looting insurance premiums. At the center of it all lies a much bigger question. How much trust do we really have in the healthcare system? When money starts to trump patient care, when both doctors and insurance companies seem more focused on profits than people, trust doesn't just erode, it collapses. Patients should feel safe when they walk into a doctor's office, not like they're stepping into a financial trap. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room. If ATIC is using this lawsuit as a smokescreen to distract from their own financial meltdown, then they're only adding fuel to an already raging fire. This entire situation is a tangled web, and unraveling it won't be easy. As of now, Dr. Hostin hasn't been found guilty. These are still just allegations. But the legal battle ahead promises to be nothing short of a spectacle. Both sides are lawyering up, ready to throw everything they've got. So for now, all we can do is sit back, watch, and try to separate fact from fiction. Whether Dr. Hostin is guilty or innocent, one thing is certain. This case has already cast a harsh spotlight on the uncomfortable truths lurking within both the healthcare and insurance industries. Buckle up, this scandal is far from over. And with every new twist, we'll be right here, popcorn in hand, watching it all unfold like the courtroom drama it's destined to be. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a beat. Until next time, peace. Joe Rogan mocks Sunny Hostin after husband arrested in RICO fraud. The morning headlines were already buzzing when Joe Rogan, never one to shy away from controversy, took a flamethrower to the latest bombshell scandal that had the media reeling. Sunny Hostin's husband, Dr. Emmanuel, Manny Hostin, arrested and named in a sweeping RICO fraud case involving over 180 defendants. The scandal was like something out of a twisted Hollywood medical drama, and Rogan, sitting comfortably in his studio, mic hot and sarcasm sharper than ever, unloaded on the hypocrisy he believed had finally come home to roost. "It's always the loudest ones with the dirtiest laundry," he quipped, poking at Sunny's high and mighty presence on The View, a show he often mocked for what he called intellectual flatlining. Rogan didn't hold back as he dissected not only the case, but the stunning silence from Sunny Hostin herself, who had built a reputation for calling out others with a legal background she wielded like a sword, but now found herself conspicuously quiet as her own husband faced allegations of orchestrating fraudulent surgeries for profit. It was the kind of hypocrisy Rogan loved to expose. Moral grandstanders caught in their own webs. To understand the weight of the allegations, you have to start with the RICO Act, the Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, originally designed to bring down organized crime syndicates. Think mob bosses and underground operations. But in this case, the alleged racketeering didn't involve mafia dons but orthopedic surgeons. According to the lawsuit, doctors, including Dr. Hostin, allegedly exploited New York's no-fault insurance system, recommending or performing unnecessary arthroscopic surgeries, then billing insurance companies for operations that either didn't need to happen or didn't happen at all. These weren't just paper pushers. They were seasoned medical professionals, accused of treating the healthcare system like a slot machine, gaming it for massive financial gain. Patients, many of whom were involved in minor vehicle accidents, were convinced or manipulated into undergoing joint procedures. And on the other side, insurance companies picking up inflated tabs while doctors allegedly pocketed kickbacks and bonuses for their participation in the scheme. At the heart of the scandal is American Transit Insurance Company, ATIC, which filed the lawsuit in December 2024. ATIC alleged that a sprawling network of doctors, clinics, and hospitals colluded to defraud the company of more than $153 million in bogus insurance claims, a figure that could triple under RICO to over $450 million. Dr. Hostin's name appeared among the many, but because of his public connection to Sunny, the media spotlight intensified on him specifically. A tick claimed these physicians took advantage of patients through unnecessary surgical interventions, receiving financial incentives under the table while passing the costs off to insurers. It was a medical con job that made real patients into pawns and financial institutions into silent victims. But ATIC isn't just playing the victim. Rogan raised a controversial point, one echoed by legal analysts and cynical observers alike, suggesting that ATIC might have its own motives. The company has long been accused of shady practices itself, delaying payments, denying legitimate claims, and stonewalling healthcare providers. So, was this lawsuit a genuine crusade against fraud or a desperate power move by a company drowning in its own mismanagement? Daniel Thwaites, attorney for Dr. Hostin, certainly seemed to think the latter. He blasted the suit as meritless, labeling it a calculated distraction from a tick's internal failures. Rogan jumped on this too, noting that the irony of ATIC accusing others of manipulation was like a fox suing the hens for pecking too loud. As the court filings made waves, more disturbing details began to emerge. According to the documents, Dr. Hostin specifically was named for recommending or performing arthroscopic surgeries on patients who may not have needed them. These minimally invasive joint surgeries on knees and shoulders mostly are common but also expensive. At first glance, they looked routine, but the volume and frequency at which they were allegedly performed raised red flags. Was this about patient care or simply chasing profit? In many cases, patients reportedly believed they were receiving essential care, unaware that they were being funneled through a production line designed to rack up medical bills. The silence from Sunny Hostin grew deafening. Known for her legal acumen and sharp commentary on The View, she often took pride in holding others accountable. But now, as her own husband stood accused in a massive federal fraud case, she offered no public comment. Rogan seized on this, mocking her sudden disappearance from public discourse. She always had something to say when it was someone else's scandal. Rogan joked, before bluntly suggesting, maybe she's lawyering up. Or maybe she's just waiting to figure out how to spin this on The View. Fans of Rogan and critics of The View flooded social media, highlighting past episodes where Sunny grilled public figures with moral absolutism. Now, many saw her silence not as dignity, but strategic avoidance. And then came the broader implications. If proven true, this case won't just be a black eye for the Hostin family. It'll expose a systemic problem in the healthcare and insurance industries. The fraud didn't rely on fake patients or invisible clinics. It happened in real hospitals with real doctors on real people. It's not just one bad apple, but an entire system ripe for exploitation. Rogan, always critical of establishment structures, warned that this could be the healthcare version of the financial crash. If you can't trust your doctor not to upsell your surgery like it's a car wash upgrade, he said, then what the hell are we even doing? The scandal has already consumed public discourse, and legal proceedings are just beginning. Out of the 180-plus defendants, over 140 have reportedly settled or